Hello. Right, okay. We're back in Scotland. Okay? The land of Rabbie Burns. We Scotland. We're back in Scotland. Again. Okay? As if things couldn't possibly get any worse. What have we got for you today? Well, folks, we're going to talk about some alarms being raised over Scotland's trans guidance. Once again, we are seeing the interference of these gender-addled grievance gerbils in the normal development and normal growth of children. And this was done by, of all people, the Care Inspectorate. For God's sake! What's that about? Right, so I'm going to go, let's listen to it. Buy me a coffee. Become a warrior teacher, especially if you're in Canada, 1 a.m. over here, but for you, right, Canada. Alarms raised over Scotland's trans guidance. Children as young as 12 are being urged to seek advice about transitioning. 12! You sick people. The Care Inspectorate, the body responsible for regulating and inspecting care services across Scotland, has published guidance for children and young people's services on the inclusion of transgender, including non-binary young people. That does not exist. You are promoting a falsity. The Care Commission is in fact a bunch of wibbling falsity codes, right? You're lying to people. Stop it. Care. It has provoked a strong backlash from groups concerned about the impact of gender identity theory within the caring profession. The document, drafted with controversial group LGBT Youth Scotland. Why are they still functioning? And issued to bodies that look after highly vulnerable children, demands an uncritical approach to those questioning their identity. Care staff are advised not to discuss youngsters' feelings or suggest they might be going through a phase. Instead, they are told to immediately adopt preferred pronouns and be supportive. I mean, Scotland, what are you going to do? Right? Because right now I don't see an alternative to the bunch of nutters you've got running the show. Could you imagine if Scotland, I mean, a traditional heartland of sort of left-leaning thinking, you know, a people of great strength and great thinking in terms of their commitment to their belief systems. I mean, they brought us some wonderful things, the Enlightenment, for goodness sake, all this stuff was happening there. And then we get this. I mean, wouldn't it be an extraordinary thing if 60% of Scotland voted for the Tories? But you know, it might save a child's life if you did put up with 5 years of discomfort to save a child. The Care Watchdog makes clear that the perceived reality of a child must always be endorsed. I was on a bus once and there was a child on a bus. It was only about 9 years old. It was stood next to its mother and I sort of smiled at its mother. And then I smiled at the child and the child said, "You can see me?" These are creepy gits, right? Okay, we don't listen to them. They don't know what they're talking about. One paragraph in the guidance says kids aged 12 and above can be presumed to have sufficient capacity to make decisions about medical treatment and advises that they can be sent to the Sandefjord Gender Service. That's the Tavistock in Scotland, right? 12. The guidance includes cases of young people who have already been helped to transition by care staff. One example positively portrays a young woman who had her breasts removed via a chest reconstruction surgery. In a wider context where detransitioners are describing their deep regret and trauma after opting for irreversible surgeries, many will find this alarming. I certainly find it more than alarming. State-sanctioned child abuse. It's that simple. Another example involves a teenager supported through transition by professionals despite family members being unsure about it. They had a named person thing a few years back in Scotland. This bunch of nutters you've got in charge have got form for controlling people's lives. You bet they like this. Similar to controversial schools guidance produced by the Scottish Government, the Care Inspectorate tells professionals they can keep a child or a young person's new identity secret and even choose not to document information. That's a huge safeguarding red flag coming from the Care Commission. If you don't think the infection's complete by now, they parasitised. They've got in there to the Care Commission. These nutters have got into the Care Commission. They parasitised it. And the host body has died. It is now no longer the Care Commission. It is now the Gender Identity Ideology Pressure Group. Because it's been completely taken over by these nutters, right? Dissent doesn't appear to be an option. The guidance states that staff must be proactive in developing an inclusive culture and practice by displaying posters and celebrating Trans Awareness Week. They are advised to wear rainbow lanyards, introduce themselves with their own pronouns, and adopt gender-inclusive language that erases sex. Conscientious objection isn't mentioned once. Ba-bum, 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 ba-bum. How long do you think it'll be before they, first person disappears in a black bag? How long? It's all a bit Viva Vendetta, isn't it? But how long do you think it'll be? Come on. This isn't happening by mistake. It's not oops. This is real. This is serious. Totalitarian extremists are in control of Scotland. They're also in control of Ireland. Don't look at me. I think it'll probably take another 15 to 20 years before it gets really bad, in which case I'll be shuffling off this mortal coil. But every time I look at somebody younger, I look at my young friends who are in their early 20s and I think, dear God, you haven't got a future. If we don't learn from the past, the mistakes, and then not repeat them, we're done for. We've got the ability to do it now, but yet here we are. Conscientious objection isn't mentioned once. Care professionals have expressed alarm. Maggie Mellon, an independent social worker and chair of the Evidence-Based Social Work Alliance, good working there, Maggie, told me that their organisation will be lodging a formal complaint. The Care Inspectorate has failed to gather or consider evidence that did not support the views and practices it is now promoting. We keep saying this, and then as if we're surprised. This has been happening all the time. Children cannot give informed consent to treatment and processes that have lifelong consequences, including infertility and lack of sexual function. The Care Inspectorate exists to protect the vulnerable and promote the highest standards of practice, not promote harmful ideology. It must scrap this dangerous unevidenced guidance. With respect, Maggie, I understand what you're saying there, but that's not the problem. It's not that they're promoting it, they are it. It's the Care Commission that must be scrapped, not the guidance. It's the Care Commission that must be scrapped. They're infected. When you got something wrong with you. I watched a bit of Game of Thrones the other night, and there's that bit where the guy gets covered in like scaly skin, right? And my favourite character is the little chap that wants to become a Meister, whatever his name is. I can't remember, Sam or something, isn't it? He cures him by taking all the bad bits off. When the body politic and the body cultural and the body social is so infected, you do not get them to change little bits of the infection. You excise the infection and you do it with extreme prejudice. We get these people gone. We close these organisations down. That's it. That's it. Other experts also hit out at the Care Inspectorate for endorsing the affirmative model decried in the Cass Review of England's Gender Identity Clinic, the Tavistock. Last year, David Bell, a consultant psychiatrist who became a whistleblower at the Tavistock, described the watchdog guidance as significant failure of safeguarding. That's what it is. He told the Telegraph there is now considerable evidence just affirming children is harmful. I mean, it's iatrogenic, I've said it before. Just referring to them as trans and sending them off down a medical pathway risks causing them harm. Earlier in the week, Dr. Anthony Latham, chair of the Scottish Council on Human Bioethics, also expressed concerns about trans treatments, stressing that at least 80% of young people who present with dysphoria will in time become comfortable with their biological sex. They have to get them before puberty. They have to get them before puberty or they can't experiment on their bodies. They have to create the trans child. There's got to be enough of them for the public to accept the mutilation and surgical altering of the human body as a normal part of life. That's why they have to get them young. With growing alarm about impact of ideology being promoted in Scotland's institutions, especially on vulnerable children, the silence from the country's political class is deafening. That's because they have two things. They have what I and others, I think Jordan Peterson's mentioned this as well, they have what's called narcissistic compassion, which they think they're doing, they can pat themselves on the back. You get the idea? And they also have, alongside that, they have righteous cause mentality. That's a phenomenally dangerous pairing. Narcissistic compassion and righteous cause mentality. It is time for governments, it's time for somebody to say, this is we're done with this. But yet, they won't. And we have to make sure we do both sides of it. Anyway, it's quite hot at the moment around, isn't it? Things going on. But, I know it's depressing. Bloody depresses me, right? I'll try and find some funny stuff. Nevertheless, there you are. There's your Jester bit. All right, okay? So, the office is being plastered next week. Yeah! So I can start looking forward to getting my little room done, so I've got somewhere decent to do it. I know this isn't too bad, but I'd like to have somewhere nicer. So thank you to those that have helped support me on that. That really is appreciated. So if you can buy me a coffee, special thanks on YouTube. See you later, alligator. Have fun.